The Blazers and Nuggets have worked out a deal to swap big men. Only 2 players involved. Pending league approval, Mason Plumlee is headed to the Mile High in exchange for Jusuf Nurkic. Plumlee's having a career year, averaging 11 points, 8 boards, while starting every game for Portland. But he'll be a restricted free agent this summer, and the Blazers are cap-tapped. The 22-year-old Nurkic began the year as a starter, but has been coming off the bench more recently. He's averaged 8 points and just under 6 boards. The Blazers will also get Denver's first-round pick this summer, which means Portland will more than likely have 3 of them. Portland sending a 2018 second-rounder to Denver. Sekou Smith from NBA.com joins us for a little more on this. And an interesting trade in that the Blazers are just a game back of Denver for the 8th spot in the West, and they're in the same division, but obviously the Nuggets are going for it right now.
Yeah, and it tells you about the perspective internally that teams have on their seasons and what's going on. Plumlee is a guy who you know exactly what you're going to get from him in a playoff run and in a playoff series potentially because of what you saw him do for the Trailblazers last year. He fits seamlessly into what they're doing in Denver because he can get up and down the floor. He's an excellent passer. He's a good rebounder, athletic, and is going to give you energy on a nightly basis. So for the Nuggets, this is a great situation that you're going to absorb Plumlee into.
Well, for a team that wants to play up and down because of the altitude, generally speaking, this is a great energy guy.
Yeah, it is, and I like it. The trade for him, like just what Sekou said, you get a chance to be in the playoffs. He's going to play extremely hard. He's kind of a guy that can make plays. You're talking about a team that have 2 bigs that can pass the basketball, Plumlee and Jokic. I think it's a great fit on the Denver side as well.
And as far as Portland goes, Nurkic is a little more rugged player and a team that hasn't been very good defensively, not that Denver was. Maybe they can use a little of that.
You know what, Matt? I think so. Watching him start the season with Denver, he's a guy that obviously is going to take a little time. I think his development is still a couple years away. But he's a low post present that can score the basketball. And at spurts, when the game does slow down, they don't have to go to so much guard, wing-oriented offense. Maybe you can throw the basketball down to him. He can make some plays. They need some kind of stabilizer because they wasn't getting any front court scoring other than guys tipping in balls or maybe running out on breaks.
I think they also needed a space eater. You know, as good as Plumlee had been for Portland, he's not a guy who's going to clog up the middle of that lane in certain situations and give you a space eater that you can throw the ball into with low post moves and get production out of, and then cause some hesitation at least on the defensive end with his size and length. This is also, let's not kid ourselves, this is also about the draft picks involved and about the fact that the Nuggets believe they have a budding young star in Jokic. And they got to clear out room and space, literally and figuratively, to allow his game to blossom and continue to grow.
I think to Sekou's point, if you watch last year with the Blazers, when you ran pick and roll, you can switch a 3 on to Plumlee because he wasn't really going to take advantage of it. You can switch a 2 on it or a 1. He's definitely just have to box him out. Now they have somebody that you could, if you switch, you can throw it to him and he can make a play.
Nurkic's big body, good rebounder, and a low cap number, which is part of the equation here as well. A couple of other big guys reportedly on the block. Philly's Jahlil Okafor and Orlando's Serge Ibaka, different stages of their careers, but both, by all accounts, are very, very, very available. Who's more likely to move before the deadline?
I don't think there's any question we thought Okafor would be the guy who would be on the move, mostly because of the situation in Philly, where you had Joel Embiid really coming into his own, establishing himself as not just a promising young player, but a potential superstar. Now, you know, with the uncertainty about Embiid, I don't know if you have to hold off a little bit if you're Philly. You need to make sure that you have some security going into the remainder of the season, at least with Okafor. His value will continue to be sky high with a lot of teams, whether you move him at the trade deadline or whether you do it before the draft.
And I look at it, I mean, I think if you're Okafor's agent, you're pushing to get out of there right now because the Sixers now need you. They've asked you not to play games. So I think you're on the block, and you don't want to, per se, play now and get hurt. If you're going to hold me out of games, let's just do it now and make sure you get a chance to get a trade for me.
And Serge Ibaka, free agent to be this summer. Been a lot of talk linking him to Toronto, perhaps, but you would think there'd be a number of teams interested.
Yeah, I think so. I think Toronto's definitely in need of him. A lot of teams are in need of him, but I see a better fit in Washington. He played for Scott Brooks, and I think if you're Washington, where you're going to add him, whether he's starting or coming off the bench, they need somebody that can protect the middle to go along with the Polish hammer. So I think playing with Scott Brooks and playing with guards to shoot the basketball, he's been used to that with Russ and KD. I think he'll be a better fit in Washington.
Deadline now under 2 weeks to go.